Chris, in the aftermath of the memo last week from the commissioner telling everyone the draft is proceeding as scheduled and thou shalt not complain about it or you will be disciplined, nobody's complaining because any time you spend complaining is time that you could be spending getting ready for the draft. And I think for all of the teams, the message is go. This thing's coming up in 24 days, and you better be coming up with ways to make the most out of the time you have.
Yeah, that's right. It does. It's all systems go. And I think most guys in the NFL have been approaching it that way. Whether they like it or not, that's a different story. Now, I'll say this, Mike. I think a lot of guys in the NFL are enjoying this. Yes, are they a little out of their routine? Do they wish they had more access to certain things? Certainly. But I will say, Mike, the few friends, scouts I'm texting with, just to say hi, what's going on, talking draft, they're really enjoying their time home. This is a group of people who grind. And when I say they grind, I mean, it's unlike any other grind that's out there as far as time in the office, watching film, time away from family, traveling around the country. A lot of these scouts, GMs, head coaches, coordinators, they'd be on the road or grinding in the office big time right now. So the fact that they're at least at home with the family around, I think they're very appreciative of that for the most part. But yes, times are weird and people are having to adjust. And it seems like the NFL is a no excuse community anyways. And I know that guys like John Lynch and other GMs are just going to continue to trudge forward.
And there is one very specific area where plenty of work can be done to know more about the prospects in this year's draft. I got clarification yesterday from the league. Every team has the ability to contact an unlimited number of prospects 3 times per week per prospect. Each guy can be contacted 3 times per week by telephone or video conference, and they can keep them on the line for up to an hour each time. So, Chris, you can get up to 3 hours per week from every prospect if you want to do it. So you spread that out over the course of the last, 5 or 6 weeks leading up to the draft. You've got a lot of time you can spend interacting with these guys. And, yes, it's no replacement for sitting across from them at a table, especially you got some tough questions to ask about some off-field issues or whatever the case may be. And none of this replaces the ability to find out physically and medically where guys are. But there is an opportunity here to spend a ton of time talking to and interacting with these guys in order to find out more information about them and to at least have some context for getting to know them a little bit better.
That'll go a long way. As we all know, and, specifically in the NFL, hey, yeah, the workouts we know they're very important. Getting to know a guy, being in a room with them, very important. What's his football IQ? All that's important. You're going to be able to get some of this. Yeah, you're not going to get that personal eye-to-eye contact, but to be able to get on FaceTime or Skype or something like that, whatever it may be, and have some conversations with the guy that you're really thinking about investing a lot of money into, dedicating a spot on your roster to say, damn, we need this position and you're the guy. Yeah, these are things that are a necessity. Yeah, these are big time investments these organizations are making, and you got to get to know these guys to a degree. So, it's a good idea by the NFL to open it up this way. Can keep continuing these conversations week by week. I think that's a great way too. Instead of just one visit where you get to see a guy 1 or 2 days, you start to get a feel for the guy on a weekly basis. Hey, I'll call you, Wednesday at 7 every week for the next 3 weeks. You start to get to know a guy, his parents, his family, whatever it may be, the surroundings, and how comfortable and how well you might feel he may fit on your football team.
And I also think, Chris, if you've got a guy where there are concerns about how reliable he is, you tell him, we're going to call you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m.
Sure.
sharp. And if he's not there, right, if he doesn't answer, or if he's all groggy, or if he has waked and baked as you can't because you have the show. But or maybe you can. But that's a way through that rhythm and that routine to see whether or not this is somebody you can rely upon to show up for work.
I think that's very fair too. Yes, you get a good feel. Is this guy got his life together? Has he got his act together? Are things scheduled out? Is he acting mature and grown up and professional that way? These are all things that the players are going to have to take into their own hands. It's weird times, but I do think you're right. That's another inkling that these coaches and GMs will be able to get looking into these players, seeing how well organized they got this whole thing during this weird process. But nonetheless, I'm glad the NFL changed the rules here. They had to, of course. I mean, how can you make the number 15 pick in the draft if you have no feel for what the human being you're going to draft is like? So at least we're doing something there positive, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Another thing to keep in mind, too, and I addressed this over the weekend in a mailbag column that I did, it's important this year, more important than ever, to have a good agent who is looking out for you, because the agents who are connected will be advocating for their clients aggressively with coaches, GMs, scouts over the course of the next 3.5 weeks, and will be protecting those clients against the negative stuff that other agents will be saying about them. We've speculated in the past, maybe one of the reasons why Lamar Jackson lasted until pick 32 2 years ago is he didn't have an agent to protect him against other agents representing other quarterbacks propagating the Bill Polian nonsense that this guy should be a receiver. There's no agent to push back against that and advance the narrative that Lamar Jackson's going to be the MVP of the league in 2019, and you better not miss the boat. So with no workouts, no medical, no anything other than these opportunities to have phone calls and video conferences, the agents are going to be the ones, the trusted agents, the ones who have the networks, the ones who are very good at persuading people. They have more power than usual because that may be the closest thing that you're going to have to getting inside of who a guy is, because you're not going to get to see him. You're not going to get to see him work out. You're not going to get to poke, how's his knee? Hey, if it's an agent that you trust and he says, we've had this guy looked at, the knee's fine, that goes a long way. And I think it makes it more important to have a good agent who's respected and connected in this draft preparation time, Chris.
Would 100% agree with that. You're right. I mean, the agent's the middleman, and to have a middleman that a team or organization trusts to say, hey, listen, my guy, I know you talked to him on Skype or FaceTime 2 or 3 times, but you got to trust me. This is what I'm seeing too. Those relationships they're going to go a long way. The other thing I'm noticing too, Mike, I mean, I just feel like because there's no school workouts or personal workouts, we're not hearing as many rumors about guys because, not as many NFL people are congregating at one spot and talking to each other. And that's how the rumors get out. That's what happens. Oh, you're, at the University of Texas Pro Day. And, oh, hey, did you hear Johnny did this, blah, 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 blah. And then it spreads around the league that, hey, Johnny's got an issue with this. We heard it last week at the workout, whatever it may be. But that's one thing I don't think you're going to hear a lot throughout this process this year because we don't have scouts and coaches, congregating in one place nearly as much or at all, at least.
And the players taking the visits. Hey, so-and-so has visited the Steelers and the Bengals and the Browns and this team and that team. There's no visits. And who cares if they're calling him? Because every team can call every player 3 times per week. And, that dilutes the significance of getting a phone call. If you get a visit when they only have 30 of them to give out, that's a big deal. If you get a phone call, who cares? They can call everybody if they want to. So that flow of information has disappeared. And it'll be interesting to see how the agents try to sprinkle that information out there as to, oh, hey, my guy is in demand. He spent 3 full hours this week on the phone with coaches from this team, this team, this team. So it's just a different reality. And I think that because we've never had to do it before, you got a lot of people that are still trying to figure out how best to work this to their advantage. And I think that over the course of the next 3 weeks, we'll start to hear some of that about who's talking to whom the most. But for now, it's just crickets. And I have a feeling that for a little while longer, at a minimum, it's still going to be not really hearing much. And there's plenty of teams that like it that way, Chris.
Well, yeah, it's not. The one thing I thought about, too, when I heard some of these rules, I just thought, man, this could make life even harder for coaches and GMs, too. I mean, not that it's hard enough as is, but now you think about with players, right? And let's say you got, player X, he's got 20 teams that are, interested in taking him somewhere in the top 3 rounds, whatever it may be. How does he organize all those calls? They're going to go into the nighttime, I think, at some point. I mean, this guy's got to work out. He's got a regimen he's trying to, keep track of on a daily basis right now. I just look at that, too, to go, man, some of these coaches, right, you got to watch film or GMs watching film all day and then probably have to get on the phone with a bunch of players at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night and start talking to them and building relationships and getting to know these guys, too. So, even though most of the NFL or all of it is working at home, I can promise you these guys are working hard. They're grinding, and they got lots to do.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And one last point before we take our break, and these were comments that came over the weekend from Steelers GM Kevin Colbert to the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, and I think it's something important to keep in mind now. Art Rooney Jr., Bill Nunn, and Dick Haley, they put together the best draft in NFL history in 1974, and they didn't have pro days. They didn't have combines. They relied on what they felt those guys were as football players. If we have to go into this draft with that same mentality, that's our challenge, and we'll do the best we can. 5 Hall of Famers in 1974, Chris. 4 of them drafted, 1 of them not drafted, Donnie Shell. But no pro days, no combines, and this is going to be a reminder that what you see on film is what you should trust, and sometimes all that other stuff just gets in the way. All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.